Did you know that your gut might be holding the key to one of the most mysterious diseases of our time? Parkinson's disease, a condition that affects millions worldwide, has long been a puzzle for scientists. But what if I told you that the answer might not be in the brain, but in the belly? Recent research from Finland has uncovered a surprising link between a common gut bacteria and Parkinson's. And no, this isn't some sci-fi plot, it's real science. So grab a kombucha, or maybe not, we'll get to that. And let's dive into the fascinating world of the gut-brain connection. By the end of this video, you might never look at your microbiome the same way again. Let's start with the basics. Parkinson's disease is a neurodegenerative disorder that primarily affects movement. Think tremors, stiffness, and difficulty walking. But it's not just a movement disorder. It's also linked to cognitive decline, mood changes, and even digestive issues. And that last part, that's where things get interesting. Scientists have long suspected that the gut and the brain are in constant communication. This is called the gut-brain axis, and it's like a superhighway of information. But what if this highway is also a one-way ticket for trouble? Enter the Desulfovibrio bacteria, or DSV for short. Desulfovibrio is a type of bacteria that loves wet, swampy environments like your gut. It's not inherently bad. In fact, it's pretty common. But here's the kicker. Researchers at the University of Helsinki found that certain strains of DSV might be linked to Parkinson's. How? By triggering the buildup of a toxic protein called alpha-synuclein. Alpha-synuclein is like that one guest at a party who ruins everything. In healthy brains, it's harmless. But in Parkinson's, it clumps together, damaging brain cells and causing those telltale symptoms. And guess what? DSV seems to be the life of this toxic party. Now, before you start Googling how to detox my gut, let's talk about the study that brought this to light. Researchers collected fecal samples from 10 Parkinson's patients and their healthy spouses. Spoiler alert, all the Parkinson's patients had DSV in their guts, and so did 8 of their spouses. But here's the twist. When they fed DSV from Parkinson's patients to nematode worms, those worms produced significantly more alpha-synuclein than worms fed DSV from healthy individuals or E. coli. Yep, worms. Because science. These little guys are often used in research because they're simple, transparent, and surprisingly similar to humans in some ways. And in this case, they help scientists connect the dots between DSV and Parkinson's. So, what does this mean for the future of Parkinson's treatment? Well, if DSV is indeed a culprit, we could potentially develop therapies that target the gut instead of the brain. Think probiotics, antibiotics, or even fecal transplants. Yes, that's a thing. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's take a step back and explore the bigger picture. Parkinson's was first described in 1817 by James Parkinson, who called it the shaking palsy. Since then, we've made huge strides in understanding the disease, but there's still so much we don't know. For example, why do some people develop Parkinson's while others don't? Is it genetics? Environment? Or, as this study suggests, something in our guts? And here's where it gets even more fascinating. The gut-brain connection isn't just about Parkinson's. It's been linked to everything from anxiety and depression to autism and Alzheimer's. So, understanding how our microbiome affects our brain could revolutionize medicine as we know it. But let's not get too carried away. This study is just the beginning. While the findings are promising, they're not yet definitive. We need more research to confirm the link between DSV and Parkinson's and to figure out how to translate this knowledge into treatments. So, what's next? We'll dive deeper into the science behind DSV, explore what this means for Parkinson's patients, and discuss the ethical implications of targeting our gut bacteria. Plus, we'll answer the burning question: should you be worried about Desulfovibrio in your gut? Stay tuned. We explored the groundbreaking discovery linking a gut bacteria called Desulfovibrio, or DSV, to Parkinson's disease. We talked about how DSV might trigger the buildup of toxic proteins in the brain and how this could change the way we think about treating Parkinson's. But now it's time to dig deeper. What does this mean for the future of medicine? And should you be worried about the bacteria in your gut? Let's find out. First, let's revisit the science. The study we discussed earlier found that DSV from Parkinson's patients caused nematode worms to produce more alpha-synuclein, the protein linked to Parkinson's. But here's the million-dollar question. How does a bacteria in your gut affect your brain? One theory involves the vagus nerve, a long wandering nerve that connects your gut to your brain. Think of it as a telephone line between your belly and your head. Some researchers believe that harmful substances produced by gut bacteria, like DSV, can travel up this nerve and into the brain, causing damage along the way. Another theory is that DSV triggers inflammation in the gut, which then spreads to the brain. Inflammation is like a fire. It can start small, but if it's not controlled, it can cause widespread damage. And in the case of Parkinson's, that damage might lead to the death of brain cells that control movement. Now, before you start panicking, let's put this into perspective. Not everyone with DSV in their gut will develop Parkinson's. In fact, the study found that even some healthy people had DSV. So, what's the difference? It might come down to the specific strain of DSV, or it could be a combination of factors like genetics, environment, and lifestyle. Speaking of lifestyle, let's talk about what you can do to support a healthy gut. While we don't yet have a definitive way to prevent Parkinson's, there's plenty of evidence that a healthy microbiome can benefit your brain. That means eating a diet rich in fiber, fermented foods, and probiotics, and avoiding things like processed foods and excessive antibiotics. Now, I know what you're thinking. Should I be taking probiotics or eating more kimchi? The answer is maybe. While probiotics can be beneficial, they're not a one-size-fits-all solution. In fact, some studies suggest that certain probiotics might even promote the growth of harmful bacteria. So it's best to focus on a balanced diet and talk to your doctor before making any drastic changes. But let's get back to the big picture. If DSV is indeed a key player in Parkinson's, what does this mean for treatment? Well, it opens up a whole new world of possibilities. Instead of focusing solely on the brain, we could develop therapies that target the gut. For example, we might be able to use antibiotics to eliminate harmful strains of DSV, or probiotics to promote the growth of beneficial bacteria. Another exciting possibility is fecal microbiota transplantation, or FMT. Yes, it's exactly what it sounds like, transferring stool from a healthy donor to a patient with Parkinson's. While it might sound gross, FMT has already been used to treat conditions like C. difficile infections, and it could one day be a game changer for Parkinson's. But of course, there are ethical and practical challenges to consider. For one, we need to make sure that FMT is safe and effective for Parkinson's patients. And then there's the ick factor. Let's just say it's not exactly a dinner table conversation. Now, let's take a step back and look at the bigger picture. This discovery isn't just about Parkinson's. It's about rethinking how we approach disease. For decades, we've focused on treating symptoms, often in isolation. But what if the key to solving some of our biggest health challenges lies in understanding the connections between different parts of the body? The gut-brain axis is just one example, but it's a powerful reminder that our bodies are complex, interconnected systems. And that brings us to the final question. Should you be worried about Desulfovibrio in your gut? The short answer is no, not yet. While this research is exciting, it's still in its early stages. We don't yet know enough to say whether targeting DSV will prevent or treat Parkinson's. But what we do know is that taking care of your gut is always a good idea. So, what's the takeaway? Stay curious, stay informed, and remember that science is a journey. Every discovery, no matter how small, brings us one step closer to understanding the mysteries of the human body. And who knows? Maybe one day we'll look back at this moment as the beginning of a revolution in how we treat Parkinson's, and so much more. And there you have it, the fascinating, slightly gross, and incredibly hopeful story of how a gut bacteria might be linked to Parkinson's disease. From the vagus nerve to fecal transplants, this research is opening up new possibilities for understanding and treating one of the most complex diseases of our time. But the story doesn't end here. Science is always evolving, and there's so much more to learn. So, what do you think? Could targeting the gut be the key to treating Parkinson's? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode of the Wellness Lab. And hey, share this video with your friends, because who doesn't love a good gut-brain conversation? Thanks for watching, and remember, your health is your greatest wealth. See you next time.